Hello everyone. Let us recall some important concepts of the chapter Plant Kingdom. This chapter mainly contains the examples. You need to remember each and every example, so your memory power should be very good. Okay, so technical terms are there. You remember it. In this chapter, you see seven concepts. The first one is the system of classification and the scientist who developed it. The next one is we know that the first division of the plant kingdom, algae. Next one is the bryophytes. They are also called as amphibians of the plant kingdom. At the same time, they are the largest gametophytes in the world. We can get a question, remember that. Third one is pteridophytes. These are the plants which actually exhibited the true roots, stem and leaves. Okay, that means evolution of plants. Okay, from the pteridophytes, you could see the evolution of plants. The fourth one is the gymnosperms, naked seeds. Okay, fifth one is the angiosperms, but in this session I have not included the angiosperm part because you had a detailed chapter in second year PUC, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Okay, you have studied everything regarding angiosperms, but remember that in your NCERT textbook from this chapter Plant Kingdom, they have given the life cycle diagram of the angiosperm. You have to be a bit familiar with the diagram. Okay, the next one and the last concept is the life cycle of the different plant kingdom divisions. Okay, so haplontic life cycle, diplontic life cycle, haplodiplontic life cycle. Okay, so let us see first systems of classification. Okay, artificial system of classification, the simple one. It is mainly based on the gross superficial external morphological characters. Okay, developed by Carolus Linnaeus. We all know that Carolus Linnaeus is also called as father of taxonomy. He developed binomial nomenclature rule or system. Okay, next one. This is very important. If you have a pen and paper, please write this down. Natural system of classification is developed by Bentham and Hooker. It is also called as Bentham and Hooker's classification system. It is nothing but natural system of classification. If you just look into previous year question paper, you see this question. Who developed natural system of classification? Bentham and Hooker. Okay, so please note this. Next one, phylogenetic system of classification. Phylogeny is nothing but evolution. Okay, evolutionary relationship between different types of organisms. It is also called as cladistics. Okay, so it is actually normally done with the help of a diagram, that is a evolutionary relationship diagram called as cladogram. Okay, so phylogenetic system of classification. Next one is numerical taxonomy. Numerical means numbers. Okay, normally the characters are noted in the form of or designated in the form of numbers, codes. Okay, so normally you can preserve it as data in the computer. Okay, so that is easiest nowadays. Many scientists are actually taking the numerical taxonomy for categorizing or classification of different animals and plants. Next, cytotaxonomy. Cyto means cell. What is there inside the cell? Normally, if you look into the fungi or the plant cell, normal the differences could be seen in the cell wall component. Cell wall of fungi is made up of a chemical, whereas the plant cell wall is made up of another chemical. So you could see the differences in the chemical component. Normally, if you look into the chromosome number also, it plays an important role in classification of organisms. In human beings, 46 chromosomes in one particular cell is present, but in other animal or another plant, it is different. The number varies. So that is also one criteria for the classification. Okay, chemotaxonomy. Chemo means chemicals. Okay, what kind of chemical which is present in that organism. So these are the different types of or systems of classification. Remember, natural system of classification, it was developed by Bentham and Hooker. Okay, this is very important. Algae. So it is the first division of the plant kingdom, and you could see the box. If possible, please recall this box again and again. This is very important. So all the characteristics or the feature of algae is given in one simple box. Okay, okay. So you need to recall it. And some technical terms are there. So you could see algae can be divided into three classes: chlorophyceae, phaeophyceae, rhodophyceae. Chloro means like chlorophyll. So that's it. Chloro means it's kind of like green in color. So it is green algae. Phaeophyceae, it is brown algae. Okay, rhodophyceae. See, it starts with the alphabet R. It is also called as red algae. So red is nothing but alphabet R. So rhodo, red. So that's very simple. Common names: green, brown, red algae. Major pigments. Okay, so this is very important. Chlorophyll A and B are given here. So it's very simple. In the alphabet, the first two alphabets are A, B. So chlorophyceae is the first class of algae. So A, B are the first two alphabets. Correct. So chlorophyll AB, you can remember it. Okay. So 505C is bit upgraded one. Chlorophyll A is there, but B is absent. C is there. Okay, one extra is added. C, not extra actually. C is there. B is deleted. It also contains one more pigment called as fucoxanthin. Remember this. Okay, AC fucoxanthin. Next, rhodophyceae mainly contains chlorophyll A, B is absent, D, C is absent, D is there. Chlorophyll AD, phycoerythrin. Okay, so these are the things you could get a question like phycoerythrin is seen in Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae, Rhodophyceae, none of the above. So it is seen in Rhodophyceae, red algae. Okay, stored food. This is very, very important. Chlorophyceae normally stores starch. Okay, in a small granule-like structures called as pyrenoids. It's not mentioned here. I think yeah, it's mentioned in the next slide. Pyrenoids. Okay, which stores starch. Phaeophyceae, mannitol laminarin. Remember this. Rhodophyceae, Floridian starch. Okay, cell wall. What kind of chemical is present in the cell wall? Chlorophyceae, cellulose. Phaeophyceae is bit upgraded. Cellulose, algin. Rhodophyceae, more upgraded. Cellulose, pectin, polysulfate esters. Flagellar number and position of insertions. Like if you see the gametes of all these different classes of algae, they have flagella. Okay, so but Rhodophyceae, no flagella. Chlorophyceae, normally if you look count the total number of flagella, it has got more than two, that is between 2 to 8 flagellas, and all the flagellas are equal in length. Okay, if you measure the each flagella's length, it is equal, and it is apical. What is apical? From the top of the gamete. Okay, Phaeophyceae, they have only two flagella. They are unequal in length. Okay, and lateral. What is the meaning of lateral? Like sides. You can imagine, like if you wide open your hands or arms, like that is lateral. Okay, Rhodophyceae, you don't see any flagella, so it's easy. Habitat, all actually normally seen in fresh water, brackish water, salt water. So it's simple. So it's common to all types of classes of algae. Now we could see some important characteristics, but we'll stick to the examples. This example is very, very important. Okay. Name the unicellular algae. Chlamydomonas are the unicellular algae. Remember it. Very, very important. Colonial algae. This question was asked earlier in many competitive examinations, including NEET as well as CET. Colonial algae is nothing but volvox. How do you remember this? How do you pronounce colonial? Colonial volvox. Co-wo. Okay, so it's like many O's are there. Volvox, many two O's are there. Okay, so it's simple. Colonial has two O's. Volvox has two O's. That's it. Okay, so colonial volvox. Filamentous Spirogyra ulothrix. You need to remember this. Large algae, normally like you see them in the marine water, they are actually called as the kelps. Ectocarpus is a good example, I guess. Okay, reproduction, you see vegetative, asexual as well as sexual reproduction. Okay, asexual reproduction is in algae is mainly because of motile zoospores. These zoospores are asexual structures, but they bear the flagella. So flagellated motile zoospores, asexual. And you could see the types of reproduction: isogamous and isogamous oogamous. Isogamous, you know that two different types of gametes which looks very, very similar. It's very difficult to differentiate between them. In the isogamous reproduction, you would see two types of gametes. One type of gamete, that is isogamous, both male and female are same, but both having flagella, normally seen in Chlamydomonas. Or sometimes actually both male and female gametes are same, you cannot differentiate, but they don't have the non-flagellated, seen in Spirogyra. Okay. Anisogamous reproduction, you know that two different gametes are entirely different. You can easily classify or differentiate them. Okay, so they are dissimilar in size. Example, Chlamydomonas. In Chlamydomonas also you see anisogamous. Oogamous, which is similar to human reproduction. Okay, in female there is only one large egg, which is non-motile, whereas male normally very tiny motile sperms are present. So here oogamous, one large non-motile female gamete and a smaller motile male gamete. Examples: Volvox, Fucus. Chlorophyceae. Some characteristics I think I had already discussed about the important characteristics of Chlorophyceae. So please go to the point number 4, pyrenoids. Okay, remember this. And even the point number 1 examples are given. Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Ulithrix, Spirogyra, Chara are examples. You may get a question. Chara belongs to Chlorophyceae. C, Chara, chloro. Okay, so pyrenoids, they are the storage bodies normally located within the chloroplast. Okay, so they mainly store starch as well as proteins, mainly starch. Okay, so reproduction, no need to talk, it's common. Phaeophyceae, that is brown algae. Examples: Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Laminaria, Sargassum, Fucus. Very important. Normally you see large filamentous algae, they are called as ectocarpus. They belong to a large family of algae called as kelps, marine kelps. Okay, so remember that. And point number four, yeah, you know that the pigments chlorophyll, AC, carotenoids, xanthophylls are present. And vegetative cells have a cellulosic wall covered externally by a gelatinous coating of algin. Okay, if you look into the plant body, they are not plants actually. Okay, plant like structures are present. Normally you see a structure which is attached to the surface of the rock or maybe any other surface like walls. Okay, that structure looks like a root, but it is not actually a root. It is called as hold fast. Looks like a root, but it is not root. Okay, hold fast attaches the plant body to the substratum, and it has got a stem like structure. Normally in angiosperms you see stem and root. Okay, root is compared to hold fast in this case, whereas the stem is nothing but called as stipe. Okay, and the stipe has a small leaf like photosynthetic structures. They are called as frond. They are not leaves, they are nothing but a tiny leaf like structure called as frond. So hold fast, stipe, frond are very common in Phaeophyceae class of algae. Reproduction, Rhodophyceae, red algae. Please remember the examples: Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria, Gelidium. Gracilaria Gelidium is very, very important to remember. Okay, I'll tell you why. uh, Contains red pigment called R-phycoerythrin, marine water plants, like not plants, algae. Okay, so other than that, reproduction, it's common. Okay, and they store Floridian starch. You could see the diagrams. This is from your NCERT textbook, so you can expect any one diagram. Okay, so you could see the first one, that is nothing but the volvox, that is nothing but colonial algae. Okay, you could see the colonies of volvox there. The first one, A1, A2, that is nothing but Chlamydomonas. You could see the flagella there. Okay, and Chara is the third one, A3. The next one, the brown algae, the Phaeophyceae. See the laminaria. I told you in Phaeophyceae you see root-like structure called as holdfast. You could see there stipe, that is nothing but stem-like structure, and frond, leaf-like structure, but they are not actual roots or stem or leaf. Okay, so they are like developing. And second one is fucus. Again, they also got the same holdfast there. And dictyota, again you could see the holdfast, stipe, and frond. Okay, so they are Phaeophyceae. Red algae, Rhodophyceae. You could see only two diagrams: Porphyra and Polysiphonia, or Polysiphonia. Sorry, Porphyra and Polysiphonia are the two things to remember. They are marine one, and even Gelidium and Gracilaria also red algae. Okay, so importance of algae here. We go to the point number 4. Yeah, very important. Certain marine brown algin and red, that is carrageen algae, produce hydrocolloids. What is hydrocolloids? Water holding capacity. Hydrocolloids. They can hold the water. Okay, so fifth one is very, very important. Please note this one. Agar obtained from. So agar is produced from Gelidium and Gracilaria. They are nothing but red algae. Okay, so it's easy actually because both starts with alphabet G. Okay, Gelidium, Gracilaria used in the production of agar. Okay, and in ice creams and jellies. Okay, they are used in ice creams and jellies. Okay, in lab they are very, very important, agar. Okay, next one, the chlorella and spirulina are also unicellular algae. Please note this. Okay, rich in proteins and are used as food supplements even by space travelers. Chlorella, spirulina. Okay, space travelers. Okay, next one is the bryophytes, and this is nothing but called as amphibians of plant kingdom. Why? Because for the fusion of gametes, that is male and female gametes, they need water as medium. Without water, the fertilization cannot take place. So they need water. Hence, they are called as amphibians of the plant kingdom. After the fertilization, the main plant body emerges. Obviously, grows on the soil or any other soil surface, even rock surface, wall surface. So they don't want water, but for fertilization they require water. So hence they are called as amphibians. Amphibians two. Okay, and the first one, see, that is very important. They are the largest gametophytes. What does it mean? If you look into the main life cycle, they exhibit gametophytic life cycle, that is haploid life cycle is seen in bryophytes. Hence they are actually called as the largest gametophytes. The main plant body is gametophyte. Okay, they are independent. They are in, I'll tell you. Okay, so if you just go to the fourth point, the life cycle consists of haploid gametophyte and diploid sporophyte. Gametophyte means it is nothing but haploid plant body. Okay, diploid sporophyte means when the gametophyte actually matures, it produces gametes. One is male gamete, other one is female gamete. Both are haploid. They fuse with the help of the water media and they form diploid zygote. The zygote will develop into a plant body that is actually on the gametophyte itself. Remember that they are dependent and it is called a sporophyte. Sporophyte is always diploid. If you see angiosperm or gymnosperms, the main plant body is sporophyte, even the pteridophytes. Okay, but in the bryophytes, main plant body is gametophyte. Okay, so the dominant phase is the gametophyte as it is independent and photosynthetic. They are independent. Okay, whereas the sporophyte is not free living but attached to the gametophyte plant body and derives its nourishment from it. I have put one diagram that is also from NCERT. So you can see how the gametophyte is free living, independent, and sporophyte is dependent. In the diagram itself, we can make out. Okay, and I have to tell you one more point that these bryophytes are normally lack true roots, stem, or leaves. Okay, so they are attached to the substratum like soil surface or maybe like rock surface. So here gametophyte produces gametes and sporophyte produces spores. Okay, so spores, what is the ploidy of spores here? It is nothing but diploid. But these spores again undergo meiosis to produce haploid gametes. These haploid gametes will actually, produce the gametophyte. Again, gametophyte produces one more haploid gametes. They fuse to form sporophyte. This is the life cycle. And if you look into the reproductive system, it contains antheridium and archegonium. Antheridium is nothing but male sex organ, whereas archegonium is nothing but female sex organ. Antheridium normally produces antherozoites. Antherozoites can be compared to the pollen grains. In this case, antherozoites have two flagella, biflagellate. Okay, archegonium is nothing but a flask-shaped female sex organ which normally produces only one egg. Okay, antherozoites are released into water where they come into contact with archegonium. Okay, so it's like you can imagine hydrophily, water pollination, similar to that. Okay, an antherozoid fuses with the egg to produce zygote. Zygote produces a multicellular body called sporophyte. Some cells of the sporophyte undergo meiosis to produce haploid spores, which germinate to produce gametophyte. So this is the life cycle. Okay, again gametophyte produces gametes, gamete fuse to produce sporophyte. Again sporophyte produce spores, sporophyte undergo meiosis to produce the gametophyte. This is it. Okay. You could see the diagrams here. The Mercantia, female and male thallus is given. What is the meaning of thallus? Thallus means it is not plant body. Okay, it's not like a true plant. Plant. Okay, thallus, thalloid. We simply call it as a thalloid. Okay, and the next diagram is funaria. Please remember this, very important. If you just check the previous year question paper, normally you see these diagrams. Okay, Mercantia. The first diagram is a female Mercantia. How do you remember this? Very simple. Normally females like flowers, correct? So here you could see the archegoniaphore that is mentioned, which looks like a sunflower, correct? So you just imagine that females flowers, females like flowers. So in this case, Mercantia is female Mercantia. It has got archegoniaphore. Okay, so it is nothing but female reproductive system. Here the male thallus is given. It's very simple. If you remember the female thallus, it's easy actually. Here there is no sunflower like structure. Okay, so that is antheridiophore. Okay, which produces antherozoites. Funaria is here, and this is a very good diagram to make you understand the what is gametophyte and what is sporophyte. See the gametophyte plant body which is attached to the surface, that is substratum. Okay, with the help of root like structure called as rhizoids. Okay, so that gametophyte actually produces the sporophyte because they release gametes, and ultimately sporophyte, which is developed on the gametophyte itself. So it is understood that the sporophyte will develop on the female gametophyte, not on male gametophyte. Correct? Okay, because male gametophyte will be released from the male thallus, and it actually swims in the water and ultimately reaches the archegoniaphore of the female, and it fertilizes it, and the sporophyte develops on the female body. Okay, so you could see the sporophyte. But Majority of the life cycle is in bryophytes will be seen as gametophyte. Hence, it is the largest gametophytes. Sporophyte diploid. Okay, so that's it. Next, classes of bryophyte. Remember the examples. Liverworts. Mercantia is a type of liverwort. Okay, you can just read it out. Plant bodies, thalloid, and all this stuff. Okay, reproduction also mainly contains the gemmacups. You could see it in the diagram of the Mercantia. There is a small cup-like structure which is seen in the on the surface of the thallus. Okay, that is called as gemmacups. Okay, so they are actually play an important role in the asexual reproduction, like in a fragmentation. They break and produces new thallus, that is new bryophyte. Sexual is, no, you know that sexual is production of the gametes. Okay, fusion of the gametes leads in the formation of the sporophyte. Sporophyte produces spores. Spores actually germinate to produce gametophyte. That is sexual. Mosses. Here, you have to remember the second line. Examples, yes, you can read it. Funaria, Polytrichum, Sphagnum. Sphagnum is very important. I'll tell you why. Life cycle. You could see the life cycle. Gametophyte and sporophyte both are seen. Gametophyte consists of two stages. In the gametophytic plant body, you see a protonema-like stage. Okay, normally protonema means a flat leaf, like creeping structure. Okay, that is protonema. So protonema is seen only in mosses. Leafy stage is the next stage of the protonema stage. Leafy like structure will be seen actually. Got it? So protonema and leafy stage is absent in Mercantia, that is in liverworts. Mosses, you see protonema, leafy stage. So even if you remember examples of Funaria, Polytrichum, Sphagnum, they actually exhibit two stages in their gametophytic stage, that is protonema and leafy stage. Remember this. Okay. So reproduction, I will not talk about it. It's common. Importance of bryophytes here, you just go to the second point. Sphagnum is given here. It's a moss. Okay, sphagnum is a moss. The peat of which is used as fuel. Okay, since it has water holding capacity, it is used as packing materials for transshipment of living material. It's like a refrigerator because it can hold the water and keep the living material refresh. Okay, oh, sorry, fresh, not refresh, fresh. Okay, so mosses and lichens are the first to colonize rocks and hence are of great ecological importance. They even can decompose the rocks. Okay, whereas if you go to the last point, the tea prepared from Polytrichum commune is normally used to dissolve kidney and gallbladder stones. Okay, so remember sphagnum is very important peat as well as packing material for transshipment of living material. Okay, they can hold the water. Pteridophytes is our third plant kingdom division. They are the first terrestrial plants to possess vascular tissues, very important for your need, xylem and phloem. Okay, they are the first plants to exhibit xylem and phloem, not like developed xylem and phloem, like you see in angiosperms. Okay, not like that. It's like kind of like stepping into the next level of plants. Okay, so initiation of the xylem and phloem will be seen in the pteridophytes. Okay, so life cycle mainly consists of haploid gametophyte and diploid sporophyte. Okay, here the dominant phase is sporophyte. You see a lot of pteridophytes outside. Okay, plant, obviously plants itself. Okay, so they are nothing but sporophytes. Okay, pteridophytes are nothing but sporophyte. You don't see the gametophyte stage. Okay, normally very less. Let us go to the last point. Sporophyte is differentiated into true root, stem, and leaves. Yes, leaves are small, that is called as microphyls, as in Selaginella, or sometimes large macrophyls, as in ferns. The sporophytes bear sporangia, which are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophylls. Okay, so sporophylls will be there. If you just look into the any pteridophytes, you see a leaf-like appendage called as sporophylls will be there, which normally contains sporangia. In some cases, sporophylls may form distinct compact structures called as stabili or cones. Normally, cones and stabili will be seen in pteridophytes. Okay, at the top of the plant, you could see a bulgy cone-like structure that is stabili, normally seen in Selaginella equisetum. The sporangia produces spore mother cells which undergo meiosis to form spores. So simple, like you can imagine microsporangium microsporogenesis in the angiosperms. Okay, similar to that. Spores germinate to give rise to inconspicuous, small, multicellular, free-living, mostly photosynthetic thalloid gametophyte called as prothallus. Pro means starting. Okay, a small thalloid gametophyte will be produced, that is called as prothallus. Okay, so you could see the reproductive organs in males, antheridium; in females, archegonium. Okay, so you know that Antheridium always produces antherozoids. They are always haploid. So Antheridium can be compared to anther in angiosperm. Antherozoids can be compared to the pollen grain. Okay, so here Archegonium is the female sex organ which produces a single egg. Okay, so antherozoids are released into water where they come in contact with archegonium, and antherozoid fuses with the egg to produce zygote. Zygote produces a multicellular body called sporophyte. It's very simple. Gametophyte means haploid. Okay, that will be developed from haploid spores. Sometimes, if the spores are diploid, they undergo meiosis to produce haploid gametophyte, and the gametophyte produces haploid gametes. Haploid gametes fuse to form diploid zygote. Diploid zygote will form sporophyte. That's it. Spores are of two types. Okay, one is homospores, other one is heterospores. Homospores are nothing but similar kind, like kind of like isogamous, similar. That is homosporous. Then these type of plants are called as homosporous pteridophytes. Heterosporous means you see two different kinds of spores. Okay, you can easily differentiate that. Okay, they are that type of plant is called as heterosporous plant. Examples for heterosporous: Selaginella salvinia. Please remember this. Okay, Selaginella salvinia, heterosporous. The microspores and megaspores give rise to male and female gametophytes respectively. Microspores means it's nothing but pollen grains in the case of angiosperms, but we don't call it as pollen grains in the case of pteridophytes. That's it. Okay, so megaspores are like nothing but embryo sac. To like if you compare to the angiosperms, that's it. The gametophyte remains in the sporophyte for variable periods. The development of zygote into young embryo occurs in the female gametophyte. This event is the precursor to the seed habit, considered as important step in evolution. A seed habit, but they don't produce seed. Okay, starting point after fertilization, like obviously we know the seed will be produced, correct, in angiosperms, even in gymnosperms. Okay, next. These are very important classes of pteridophytes. Okay, I need you to mug up this. Coeloptopsida. Coeloptopsida is a type of the first class of pteridophytes. Okay, Coelotum is the example, whereas Lycopsida, example Selaginella, Lycopodium. Okay, Spanopsida, Equisetum, Pteropsida, Dryopteris, Pteris, Ediantum. Ediantum is also called as walking fern. So I have not mentioned here. You can write. Ediantum is also called as walking fern. Walking fern. Okay, write it down. Please remember this. Mug up this. Could be asked. Okay, for match the following or sometimes directly. Selaginella belongs to. Okay, they may give you these four different classes, and you need to pick the correct option. That is Lycopsida. Okay. This is the example Selaginella and Equisetum is given, and just like see the diagram, and just be familiar with the diagrams, could be asked. Okay, you could see the strobilus there, a cone shaped structure. Okay, so gymnosperm. Okay, gymnos means naked, sperm means seed, naked seeds. Okay, so one point please add here, I think I did not mention it. The gymnosperms actually, how they fertilize, that is mainly through a type of pollination which is actually called as anemophily. Anemophily is seen in gymnosperm. Got it? Gymnosperm fertilization mainly takes place through wind pollination. Wind anemophily, please note this point. Okay, could be asked. Okay, these are the plants in which ovules are not enclosed in the ovary and remain exposed both before and after fertilization. These are naked seeded plants. Okay, the redwood tree, sequoia, is one of the tallest tree species. Please remember it. In gymnosperm, sequoia is the tallest. Okay, they have tap roots. Okay, so like angiosperms, they also have tap roots. That means tap roots originated from gymnosperm, not in angiosperm. Okay, in some roots form fungal association to form mycorrhiza, as in pinus. Very important. Pinus is a very important example of gymnosperm. Okay, in cycas, small specialized roots called coralloid roots are associated with nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria. Please note this point or underline this in your textbook. Cycas normally have some roots. They are actually called as coralloid roots. That means are kind of like help in the nitrogen fixing. Okay, so the stems are unbranched in cycas and branched in pinus or even cedrus. Okay, leaves may be simple or compound. In cycas, pinnate leaves persist for few years. Leaves withstand extreme temperature, humidity, and wind. In conifers, the needle shaped leaves reduce surface area. Okay, their thick cuticle and sunken stomata reduce water loss. Okay, so fine. The life cycle consists of haploid gametophyte and diploid sporophyte. Okay, but sporophyte is the main plant. The dominant phase is the sporophyte. Okay, so it's easy now. Like upgrading, that's it. Angiosperms also, sporophyte is the main dominant phase. Okay, gametophyte produces gametes and sporophyte produces spores. Okay, these are heterosporous. Remember that gymnosperms are not homosporous. Okay, not like pteridophytes. In pteridophytes you see homosporous as well as heterosporous, but gymnosperms are strictly heterosporous. They produce two different types of spores. Okay, so this is very important, could be asked. They produce haploid microspores and megaspores. Sporophylls are spirally arranged along an axis to form compact strobili or cones, like pteridophytes. Sporangia are present on sporophyll. Okay, sporangia is present within the sporophyll. Spores are produced within sporangia. So this is the thing. Male strobili or microsporangiate. Male strobili is nothing but microsporangiate. See, very simple. Microsporangia in angiosperm. That is nothing but containing the pollen grains or microspores. Okay, so cones bearing microsporophyll. See, microsporophyll is nothing but compared to stamen in angiosperm, and microsporangia is compared to anther in angiosperm. Okay, so microsporangia produces microspores. Okay, female strobili or megasporangiate cones, cone-like structure bearing megasporophylls. These megasporophylls are nothing but carpel-like structure, that is nothing but female reproductive system. And megasporangia, what is megasporangia? That can be compared to ovule, that's it, in angiosperms. Okay, megasporangia produces megaspores. Male and female cones may be present on the same tree. Remember this statement, the last statement is very very important. Pinus, whether it is dioecious or monoecious. Remember that. So pinus is monoecious, having both male and female reproductive system within the same plant. Or it could be dioecious, that is unisexual, that is normally seen in cycas. So please remember, pinus is bisexual, cycas is unisexual. Okay, so that the point. So microspores develop into male gametophyte, which is highly reduced and have limited number of cells. Okay, this reduced gametophyte is the pollen grain. Okay, the development of the pollen grain occurs within the microsporangia, same like angiosperms. That's it. Ovule is present within the megasporophyll. The megasporangium or nucellus is protected by envelopes, and the composite structure is the ovule. One of the cells of the nucellus differentiate to form the megaspore mother cell, which undergoes meiosis to form four megaspores like angiosperms. One of the megaspores develop into multicellular female gametophyte that bears archegonia. The female gametophyte is also retained within megasporangium. Okay. The pollen grain released from the microsporangium is carried by the air. That's what I said. Anemophile currents and comes in contact with the opening of the ovules. Pollen tube carrying the male gametes grows towards the archegonia in the ovule and discharges their contents near the archegonial mouth. There is nothing but fertilization event. Okay, occurs, not important, don't worry. Okay, so in gymnosperms, gametophytic phase do not have an independent free living existence like that in the bryophytes or pteridophytes. Okay, gametophyte remains within the sporangia in sporophyte. That's what, like, the sporophyte is the main plant body. You don't see gametophyte. Okay. Now, as I said earlier, that I have skipped the uh, this one, what you call flowering plants, angiosperms life cycle. But if you just have time or patience, please check the diagram, that is life cycle of angiosperms, in the NCERT textbook of the chapter plant kingdom. Okay, so that's very important. But anyhow, like, if the diagram is also asked, like, you can easily identify the stages also, because we had a detailed chapter in second PUC. Okay, so the three life cycles. Haplontic life cycle. Haplontic means haploid. That's it. Dominant photosynthetic phase is free living haploid gametophyte. That's it. Okay. So examples is given here. Volvox, Spirogyra, some species of Chlamydomonas. Please mug up this. Haplontic life cycle, Volvox, Spirogyra, Chlamydomonas. That's it. Okay. You have to make some codes. Remember it. Done. You could see the diagram here where the gametophyte, that is N haploid stage, is seen here. Okay, whereas a short zygote, that is the sporophyte stage, is seen there. Okay, 2N stage is like short lived, whereas gametophytic stage is long. Okay, next one, diplontic means exactly opposite to haplontic life cycle. Okay, so you know that here dominant phase is diploid sporophyte. You could see the diagram there. 2n is like occupying the like 90% of the portion of the diagram. Okay, whereas the 10% is occupied by the small n. Okay, that is haploid life cycle. Gymnosperms and angiosperms exhibit sporophyte stage, that is diplontic life cycle. Very simple. Okay, if you see gymnosperm, angiosperm, you see diplontic life cycle. Done. Sporophyte is the main plant body. Remember. Next one, haplodiplontic, like 50-50. Both haploid as well as diploid life cycle. That is intermediate condition. You could see the diagram there. Okay. So you see in bryophytes, haploid gametophyte is dominant, independent, photosynthetic, thalloid or erect. It alternates with the short-lived multicellular diploid sporophyte, which is totally or partially dependent on the gametophyte for its anchorage or nutrition. Okay, so in pteridophytes, diploid sporophyte is dominant, independent, photosynthetic, vascular plant body. It alternates with the short-lived multicellular saprophytic autotrophic haploid. Don't worry about this. You just remember the example. Bryophytes, haplodiplontic life cycle. Pteridophytes, haplodiplontic life cycle. Ectocarpus polysiphonia kelps, that is marine algae. These are very good example for haplodiplontic life cycle. So you just have to mug up, make a short note of it and just recall it again and again. That's it. Okay, so this is all about from this chapter, plant kingdom. Hope you not understood actually. Okay, at least like we recalled some concepts. Okay, means everything, almost everything. Okay, so let us see some MCQs of this chapter, plant kingdom. Thank you.